talking about the competition, the scaring customers, and then also like how do you ensure accuracy when this is such a complex process? So I want to kind of go through those one at a time. So let's start with with the competitors. Like, what is your answer to that? Is there something that Roofquotepro does to help sort of make it hard for competitors to see what your pricing is through Roofquotepro, or do you guys just have something that you tell customers like, hey, it's not something to worry about? What's your approach there?
Well, so there's two. Let's break contractors into two buckets while we answer some of these questions because it does change a little bit. It doesn't, but it does, right? So if you're storm restoration, guess what? You're all working off the same price sheet anyway. You got to be kidding me. Yeah, everybody has exact mate. You know exactly where you're at, where the carrier's at, and where your competition's at. I mean, there's not much more for you to learn about how to price a project. I mean, y'all are working off the same price sheet, but it's very similar in the retail side of things. And I know there's there's a bigger variation from one contractor to another when it comes to retail, but you can't tell me that you don't already know where your competitor is and that they know where you are. Like you know each other's prices because you've been competing for years against each other. And so that one is actually a pretty easy one for people to understand and go, yeah, I kind of know where, XYZ roofing company is and Peach State Roofing is. I mean, I've come across them enough that I know where they're at, and everybody already kind of knows each other's pricing
Yep.
generally. So to
We
see it on a
we
website
we
is
don't
not a
even
big deal.
try. We don't even try. We never ever ask for like the other estimates ever. And we know. Like if you don't know, you're just not even paying attention. You know where everybody else is.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's really it's really at the end of the day, it's not really a serious concern. Um, Totally makes
I don't
sense.
think it is, and I mean it's a reason to reject the idea of making putting it on your website, but it's not really, yeah, it's not really a big of an issue as
Hmm,
people think.
that makes sense. What about the argument of I don't want to scare my customers. I need to be at their home. I need to see their roof so I can break down to them exactly why it's this cost before they see any numbers. If they go on their website and they just fill out their address, they're going to get scared off.
Yeah, and man, I mean, there is a little bit of a complexity to the answer to that question, because again, feel the helplessness of the consumer in that situation. They did their roof 8, 10 years ago. It was $8,000. And now it's suddenly 15 and $18,000. Like there's a helplessness and kind of a blindsiding that happens because they've been left behind of what's been happening in the industry. Nobody's paying attention to the roofing industry outside of roofers. So, when customers are scared away from the price, it's not like they're scared away from you or they're scared away from, being gouged. That's not the issue. The issue is they need information. And if you're unwilling to give them information and allow them to be scared in that moment, then they're not going to trust you with your brand and your value proposition either. So that's another one of those that you have to be very careful about. Are they really scared? And if they're scared, what are they scared of and why are they scared? And how can I alleviate their fears while also building that trust with them and saying, here, I know this looks weird. You had it was 8,000 a few years ago. It's 15 now, but you're also doing that in a matter of seconds, not hours, which again goes back to giving the homeowner what they need to make a wise decision, but also not wasting your time or being a huge bottleneck within your business where you're sending somebody out to have those conversations. You're actually getting that done on the front end instead of the back end. John could probably talk about that.
Yeah, so I mean, we just got our. I started working with SMA without even knowing that Joe was associated with SMA too. So SMA just did their I know it's February, but we just did our year-end report, and it was really insightful because we looked at lead sources and conversion ratio for lead sources, and Roofquotepro is pretty low from their perspective. But what I'd say is I've told this to lots of contractors. The main reason why it may look low is because you do have consumers who are like, you're way too high, or whatever the reason is. Oh, I'm just getting a price. And then it's a good thing. This is why it's so important to have some sort of automation that follows up after they use it, because those customers are not saying no, they're saying not now. So like the conversion is lower because people are like, oh, this is fun. It's almost gamified. It's like we get on Roofquotepro. I've always wondered, what is it? And then we give them a range of pricing, in good, better, best, and they're getting a very, very robust answer for their question. How much does my roof cost? But then they don't convert because they're like, what? This is 20 grand. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. Well, we'll follow up with you immediately with a text and an email saying, hey, you want to schedule an inspection? They say yes or no. That's fine. They don't. We, Kathleen, myself, Clay, whoever is following up with them, if they say no, we're not doing it right now. We just had this. We had a lead 2 days ago, just like this. I was just seeing how much it was. Okay, great. We'll move you to long-term follow-up. You're going to have long-term. We're not losing that customer forever. It's so important, because you will not see the value in any of these instant estimator tools, because that person's going to forget about you unless you're sending them consistent postcards, and it's not helpful. You're not creating that like real long snowball effect of like gathering these leads long term.
You're building an audience, really. Like that is
long term.
I mean, there is an immediate value. You're gonna sell a percentage, but you're also, your funnel for collecting an audience is much wider. So you're going to get more overall leads, but you have to be able to then capitalize on that audience over time by dripping communication and messaging to them.
Correct. So on the flip side, for contractors who talk about like, well, they're going to, we're going to, customers and contractors who say that we're showing prices or we're too, and the customers, the homeowners who are saying we're too high. Okay. And then we just lose them forever. Like this can happen if you don't have the process in place. Like if you just show we had another really, really small, this is like a crazy small, it was like less than 1,000 square foot house. And they had numbers that were half of our numbers. I was like, I don't know. There's no ability to sell at that point. I get that. Let's talk about why they're half. Why are they $7,000 for your roof? Like that doesn't make sense in any way. And so I get from contractors' perspective worried that they're not able to sell and to show value if you just give them price. I get that. But we're able to do it because we have ProLine. We send them videos and like we show the complete roof system. We show why we do it. We show the warranty differences. And there's very little, we're not having to drive to their house to sit at the kitchen table because they don't want that anyway. They want to get the price right then at 9:52 at night. But you're still getting to provide value and show differences. And we definitely have converted people. They're like, I don't like the way that feels. Why are they 11,000 and this person's 7? Why? And so we have converted lots of people because Roofquotepro, in my mind, is a very good way to pre-qualify ideal customers. Like if they're not going to value complete roof system and warranties and the way we install, they're not going to get
time anyway.
Yeah, waste of everybody's time. We don't have to drive to their house and figure that out. They can do it, and it's a more enjoyable experience for them too. And these are, we're talking about age groups before. This is all age groups. Not just under 40, but our ideal customer over age 45, they're doing the exact same thing.